Hello everyone, good evening. You are all welcome to today's class. Today is the last class for week 3 and I hope you are as excited as I am for today's class. All right, so before we begin our class, I would do our normal revision like we normally do. Yesterday, we were able to learn about different prompt engineering techniques. We saw zero-shot prompting, few-shot prompting, and also chain of thoughts prompting. And we were also reminded about what it takes, right, to craft a good prompt. We all discussed rather about clarity, specificity, and how your prompt, right, should not be ambiguous. You should also learn to break complex tasks into small tasks. At the end of the class yesterday, we also moved on to do a task, right, in the class where we created a very simple interface, right, to ask our PDF or TXT document questions. And then I'm sure we all learned a lot yesterday, including me. We saw how this can be useful for different career paths, right, that we have. Most of us here are from different career paths, right? And we saw how this can be useful for the interface for asking a document question. We saw how it can be useful, right? The scenario rather for asking our document questions. We saw how it can be useful for different career paths. All right, but one thing we were not able to do yesterday was to actually demo how this was actually working. So that is the first thing that we are going to do today. So we are going to demo how this is working before we move on to retrieval-augmented generation. Okay, now let me ask you, tell me about one thing that you learned yesterday and how it can be applicable to your line of work. That thing that you learned, how can it be applicable to your line of work? One thing that you learned yesterday and how what you learned can be applicable to your line of work. Okay, so I think we are still thinking. So I'm waiting for us. Tell me about one thing that you learned yesterday, one important thing that stood out to you yesterday, and how this can be important, right, in your line of work based on what you are currently doing. Okay, so I can see Vincent saying that he learned about the different types of prompting. Techniques, right? Techniques for prompting. We even still have more. Those are not all, but we learned about the few techniques, right, for prompting, and it's going to be helpful for you in your research. Excellent. Okay, so can we have more responses? More responses, please. Tell me about one thing that you learned yesterday and how it can be used, right? How it can be useful for you in what you are currently doing, right, in the work you are currently doing. Oh, Francis is saying that the classwork did right by feeding the model with model the app accepts and a PDF, and then you can ask questions right based on that PDF. All right, excellent. Odutala is saying prompting techniques, adding context to our prompts to the prompts we are giving to the model. Okay, I can see Tokwa saying the PDF summarizer can be adaptable for personal and individual research work. Okay. All right. Excellent. Miribayo, you learned how the chatbots you meant to say can help you relate with your customers better and also help answer frequently asked questions. Esther is saying how to use zero shot prompts to generate information on the role of healthcare officer in Nigeria. All right, great. Wow, excellent, Emmanuel. You were able to ask the PDF, upload, you meant to say, you were able to upload the PDF, right, to the Gradio interface and also ask questions, right? So how many of us were able to do that yesterday? Let me start from there. How many of us were able to ask the you're able to upload either a PDF or a TXT file, right, from yesterday's class? How many of us were able to upload either a PDF file or TXT file and then successfully questions, ask that model questions based on that PDF file? Maribaya is saying few short prompts will be better for a quick and direct response. I wouldn't say that because few short prompts, it's showing the model with examples, right? What you want it to respond with, and then the model sees the pattern and goes along with that, right? What if the examples you are giving doesn't? So it actually depends, right, on the kind of examples that the model is giving for few short prompting that is going to determine what kind of response it is going to give you after it has learnt the pattern. Genevieve is saying you uploaded your PDF and it gave me a summary, but you didn't ask it any question. All right. So based on the system prompts we gave it, if you ask it a question, it is supposed to give you a response. PDF would help, but I think Olubola, you're trying to say you also want to know how to do for CSV files, right? Is that what you are saying? Well, we'll see that, right, as we move on in this class. Excellent, the marks. Different types of prompting really helped you to understand the issue you were facing initially. I'm glad to hear that. Well done. Akinwale is saying you've not been able to do anything. Wow, you just started learning Python on ChatGPT. If you want to learn Python, right, I would recommend that you use a crash course on Kaggle. Kaggle is spelled Kaggle. So you can do a very good crash course on Kaggle and then just use GPT, right, to debug instead of putting all your learning process on ChatGPT itself. You can use a very good vetted resource like Kaggle, spelled Kaggle, right? And then use GPT to make you understand better whenever you are stuck, maybe on a question or on a task. Excellent. Dorcas. But what do you mean by you want to use the chatbot to collect feedback from clients and review the feedbacks. If you want to collect feedbacks from clients, you could just use a Google form for that, right? To collect feedback, right? That's one of the easiest things. You can use a Google form or other types of form, right, to collect feedbacks from the client. But say you now have like 1 million clients, right? You cannot be looking at the feedbacks one after the other. In this kind of scenario, you can upload, right? You can add that those feedbacks, right? You'll see how to do that as we move on with retrieval-augmented generation. You can add that information, right, that you got from your Google form, add it as your source, then now begin to ask question, right, about that information that you got from your Google form. Say, oh, what were my customers saying the most about my product, or doing that and that. So let me also put that that could also be a possible project. We'll be doing different exciting projects when we come next week. Okay. Yes, let me move on to Francis. Excellent. Okay. All right. Abubakar is saying he was able to do that. So Miguel J is asking that why are we not doing African time? Well, we are just doing revision, right? We are revising what we did yesterday. And then if anybody has been able to like run the app, right, that we did yesterday. So that is also the question being answered. Well done, Francis. Well done, Vincent. You uploaded the documents. Exactly. Great to see that you were able to do that. You learned how to use few short prompting to create a product rating chatbot. Oh, excellent, Roland. Yeah. So you say maybe um you give it some few texts, and then you rate it. You give it some few texts, you rate it, and then you're able, then based on the text you give it, you give the model, right, you should be able to give you a product that is an extension of what we did yesterday, and that is great. Well done, Roland. Abubakar is saying with the help of GPT you were able to do yours. Excellent. That is why you are learning generative AI, right? So you can know how to prompt these models to make you achieve your goals. You also got Gemini to do a deep search for you. Wow, Philip, I would think you are talking about deep research then. All right. So for those that have not been able to do yours, excellent. That is one of the purpose of this class, to make you know how to prompt these models better, and then also get the type of goals, right, that we actually need to get, right, from these models. All right. So if you are just joining us, we've not gone too far. We've only done a revision, right, of what we did yesterday. We discussed about a revision on the prompting techniques that we're able to learn: zero shot prompting, few shot prompting, and then also chain of thought prompting. And then most people said one thing that they learned yesterday and how it can be used, right, in their current field of study or in their career path. And then we stopped yesterday in our class task, right? We built a Ask Your Documents mini app, right? And most people have been able to get responses, right? Most people have been able to upload rather their PDF uh, document and then ask the model question based on that PDF document. Yes, so that is because of the kind of Francis, that's because of the type of system prompt, right, that we give to it. So if you look at the system prompt is saying you are a careful answer only using the provided document text. If the answer is not present in that provided document text, right, reply exactly, right, not found in document. So that is why you were able to get that type of response, right, from the model. All right, so moving on, let me rerun this. So we all know that you have to click on reconnect. So I'm going over this again. Click on reconnect, and then you start a new session, right, on Colab, on Google Colab, whenever you click on reconnect. For those that have not worked with this notebook before, please do not forget to click on file and then save a copy in Drive, right? You are saving a copy in Drive so that your own changes that you are making, right, to this notebook, right, would reflect, right, because nobody has editor access to my notebook. So once you click on file, save a copy in Drive, whatever changes you make to it will be saved, and you'll be able to see it when next you come back to that notebook. So we all know that what the PyPDF library does for us, it helps us to extract text, right, from a PDF document, and then we run our the next cell. So I'm just checking here to see if I've given this notebook access to my Hugging Face token. And this was where we stopped yesterday, and we launched our mini app. Wow, I'm surprised that NG Connections is asking where we can get these notebooks from. I imagine that the link, right? Yes, you can allow your chatbots to accept different forms of file, but then you know that the logic, right, for extracting the content from those files will be different, right? So you have to research more on how to expand that logic of extracting your text, right, from those files. And if you do not even want to do only for text, let's say you want to scale it up and then you want to do maybe a CSV file also, you have to do a simple research also on how to extract the content, right, of those documents before passing them to the model. All right, so moving on, I'll click on my link and then share my new screen. So I'll share this tab instead. Did anybody upload a PDF file like that is very big, like that has lots and lots of pages? Did anybody upload that type of PDF file to see if it's going to work on this mini question answering system that we've created? Abubakar, I hope I've answered your question. So did anybody try, right, to use like a very large PDF file that has lots of pages? Learn with Bookie, okay. And then what did you notice? Did it work? Or did it break? Or did it tell you error? Mm-hmm. Exactly. I want those kind of responses. Sunday Faith is saying yes, but it did not work. How many pages did you upload, Sunday Faith? Abara Christian, yes, but it did not work. Exactly. I wasn't expecting it to work either. Yes, error. Exactly. Excellent. So, Lebuki is saying it's worked. How many pages was your PDF file? Was it that huge? Mary, I don't understand what you are trying to say. You have conflicting statements in your sentence. You're saying for a large file, it did work for you, and it said the file. I imagine you wanted to say it did not work for you, right? It said the file is too large. Exactly. It's going to say that. Okay, so it's great to see that most of us encountered this error. And if I did not ask, nobody was talking about it, right? All right, so that is what I wanted we or all of us to note, that if you upload a very big PDF that has lots and lots of pages in this our mini Ask Your Documents app, it's not going to work. It's going to tell you that the file is too large or something, right? And then we'll come back to that later. But let's quickly test this out so that others that have not run theirs can see. I am only going to be using a PDF that has one page. Sorry. Uh hello. Sorry about that glitch, right? Please confirm if you can hear me once again. Kindly confirm if you can hear me once again. Clement, you said you're having error. You're having an error rather. Okay, yes, you can all hear me. Excellent. Okay, great. Clement, you're having an error. Why are you getting this error? You must provide an API key. Did you give the notebook access to your Hugging Face token? And if you named it HF token, if you named it something else in your secret, right? You'd want to update the notebook to whatever you named it, right? So make that change, and I think it should have access to your Hugging Face token. Please confirm if you can also see my screen. I'm sharing my screen. You should be able to see Ask Your Document questions. But blank screen, wow. Please confirm if you can see my screen. No? Okay, so let me share my screen. Uh, Let me reshare my screen. Wow, my screen is still not showing. Hmm. Please confirm purple blank screen. Okay. So this should be let me say my screen is not coming up. All right, I can see that my screen is back up now. Okay, sorry for that little glitch. So I'm sure we can all see my screen right now. Okay, Clement is saying you've been using HF token. Hmm. And you've given it permission in that notebook. Excellent. We can all see my screen. Okay. Hmm. But your error is saying something else. So your error is saying that it cannot even see the organ face token, right, that you are using. So that is what the error is saying. Okay, we can all see my screen. For anybody having issues, we'll come back to that. And then let me ask a question. What is this document about? Oh, excellent. Then I'm getting the same um, error Clement said he was having. You must provide an API key to do this or login. All right. So let's see what might be wrong. Let me share my notebook screen. Share this tab instead. We've added model here. I think I know what would be wrong or what might be wrong. So one text test rather you can do before calling. There's no need for that. Let's just make sure this works. Two things. You can disconnect and delete your runtime and then start again. But if it doesn't work, then something must be wrong with the code. Then you want to check that. So disconnect and delete runtime is going to like delete if you installed something in that session, right? It's going to delete like if you install something new into Collab in that session, you're going to lose access to it anytime you do disconnect and delete runtime. So when you are reconnecting, it's like you are starting afresh again from the beginning. So Clement, you do not have to worry, we are having the same errors here. Okay, so I'll click on the link again and then share my new tab. So my new tab is loading. That's why you can see loading, right? Okay, so it's done loading. So let's try this again one more time. What is happening here? Oh, so it's working now. These things can be unreliable sometimes. So can you see that it's working now? And I'm saying what's happening here is telling me, oh, the 39th, based on the information that we have in the PDF, 39th neural information processing annual conference is taking place, and this person has been invited to attend. Oh, where is the conference happening? And I click on get answer. Conference happening in San Diego Convention Center. Okay, so I've been able to solve my own error. Clement. Okay, so let me scroll up. I think we have lots of. Okay, you can see my screen. We've gone past that. After uploading the document, what is the next thing to do to get the answer? After uploading the document, Emmanuel, based on the interface you can see here, you have to put in a question, right? There's a box for your question, and then you click get answer. So when you click get answer, you are going to see your answer, right? As you zoom in, you are expected to also run this app, right, on your end. You have access to the notebook, right? So it's just an app, right? And I expect that you should have run it yesterday. So we are not doing anything new. All right. So I hope you've been able to also run it at your end on Monday. You're able to upload the PDF. Excellent. You faced the same error but noted the environment was not connected. Maybe because you didn't see from Colab import user data dot get the HF token. Oh, how did I do the disconnection? Okay, how did I delete the runtime you meant to say? So let me share this tab again. All you have to do is go to runtime, and then you have different options here. Just where you used to click on file before, you have runtime. So when you click on runtime, right, you can do disconnect and delete the runtime entirely. But if you are still having that error, you're experiencing another error. Wow, Clement. All right, what's the new error that you're experiencing? Let's see that. You got the same error when you tried attention is all you need. Okay, okay, okay. For all of us having this error, let me see. Do we use a different key for different tasks? No. The Hugging Face token key that you've created, right, works, still works, right? You're uploading either a PDF file or a TXT file, right? Just as you can see on the like title of that document. Working fine now, excellent, Clement. Hey, great. Yours is having name error. Olanjumoke, if you are having name error, then two things. Name error where? Name error where it's important. Is it for the model, right? Make sure your model is defined. Make sure the name for your token is consistent. What else? I can't remember what else you need. Oh, all right. Excellent, Olufunke. Same model is not defined, so make sure, where should you add model to? Olajumoke, you should add model. This was what we did yesterday. You should add model here, right? Add the name of your model inside your chat completion endpoint, right? And it should work. Shalom is saying you uploaded your biology assignment and it gave you the answer. Are you sure that answer is correct? Models can hallucinate, you know. All right, so we are all on the same page now. You try to click on answer, but it's not working. Emmanuel, wait a bit, then you should see the response. If it doesn't give you a response, it should show up an error message. So you can just wait for a few minutes before you decide that it's not working. So an issue most of us also noted is that whenever you upload a very large file, right? Whenever you upload a very large file, and this is going to be one of our assignments for this week, right? Whenever you upload a very large file, it doesn't work, right? It's telling us that, oh, the file is too large and all. So this is majorly because most of the models, right, that we are using in this demos, right, they have a maximum token limit, right? They have a maximum token limit, right? That is the number of, like, for example, subwords, right, that they can look at a time, right? So when the words are too much, right, when the pages of that PDF are too much and then you dump it on the model at once, wow, once you dump it on the model at once like this, it's not going to work. It's going to throw up error because you've exceeded its maximum token limit, right? So due to this, there are two ways. So it's either when you are creating your app, you say no matter how big this document is, right, you want to limit it to so and so tokens, right? You can put um a cap, right, to the number of tokens that can be used from the text. So instead of passing the whole text like this, right, you can just do something like this. Say, oh, filtered text, right? You can say filtered text equal to text and then limit it to the first, you can limit it to the first 10,000 characters. So no matter how huge, right, no matter how huge that document is, right, it is only going to use the first 10,000 tokens, right, from there. But the problem now is now that if a person is now asking questions about something that is not in the first few tokens, right, that is not going to work. It would not it will not give a response because it cannot see it. So in this kind of scenario, that is where retrieval augmented generation will still come in and then help us, right? So I think it's high time we move on to explain what is this retrieval augmented generation, how does it work. All right, so I'll be moving on to a new topic entirely, which is called retrieval augmented generation. But before I move on, let me answer few questions, right, so that we can all be on the same page. Yours is working, Winifred. Excellent. Emmanuel, I told you to calm down to wait for it to show you an answer before deciding it's not working. Odutola, yours is showing bad request. Odutola, do you have like the same thing that we have in this? Can you see the same thing that we have on my screen? So you might want to, if you've created a copy of this notebook before, you can just refresh this particular notebook and then recreate the copy. I think you should be fine after that. Okay, Shalom is saying it is correct because you've done it before. I just tried it. I do not actually get what you're trying to say. Yeah, if you use a smaller PDF, just like I explained just now, it's going to work. But if you use a very large PDF, it's not going to work, right? And so let me, before asking your question, let me try and answer all your own questions. I think your question will be aligned with what you have. I asked the question, I told me not on the file. Exactly, Olufunke. That is what you have in your system prompt. So if you read the system prompt that we have on the notebook, right, it is it is already there that if the user is asking a question that is not aligned with what we have in the PDF, it should say not generated or something, but you can check the system prompt for that. Why? Well, it's a question, right? You are telling to summarize is also a question, right? It's a question in a way. What question are you supposed to ask, Esther? You can ask any question that you want to ask, right? You are just testing it out. Abia Anthony, we also had the same error here earlier, right? Just try and disconnect and delete runtime and then run it again. I think everything should work. Please, after the model being defined, what next? Olajumoke, I'm sure you have the notebook, right? This notebook, just run it, right? Run it and launch your Gradio app, so everything should work fine. Moving on. Clement is saying, am I a teacher or a lecturer? Okay, I am a data scientist and also an AI researcher. I work at Secov Analytics LLC, and then I'm also, yeah, I'm a data scientist or AI researcher at Secov Analytics LLC, and then I'm also part of a non-profit group, Machine Learning Collective, where we do lots of research also. Okay, so before we move on to the rack part, right? Most of us we said sorry, most of us we said whenever we are encountering, sorry, whenever we Megan is saying, are all these things actually in your head? Well, yes, they're in my head. I've been doing this for the past 5 years. So, yes, they're in my head. So, I was trying to explain, but of course, you wouldn't expect me to remember everything right off it, right? That's why we have all these generative AI tools, right, to help us whenever you forget things. Okay, so yes, how to run a large file. Please, for those that were listening, what were the two options that I gave, right? What were the two options that I gave, right, for you to be able to get responses from a very large PDF file? So we still have some here. So let me show you, right? So I gave two options. Right? I said whenever you have a very large um PDF file, right? There are two ways to go about it to solve that error that you are having. Excellent. Great to see that we are all following along. Is either you filter the texts, say you limit the number of characters, right? Because, okay, I don't want to tell you the reason again. I want to see if you are following, right? So the two ways are either you limit the number of characters or you use RAG, right? Which is Retrieval-Augmented Generation. And we are going to see what RAG is, right, as we move on in this class. So another question is, why do we have to filter the text, right? Why do we have to filter the text? Why can't we just dump a whole PDF of 500 pages? Not increase filter text, it's just filter the text, right? You can just filter the like number of text or characters that will be passed to the model, right? So my own new question is, why do we have to filter, right? Why do we have to I'm trying to get a perfect word for this now, but it's not coming to mind, right? So why do we have to limit the number of characters that we are passing to the model? Why do we have to limit the number of characters or text that we are passing to the model? Why can't we just dump the whole 500 pages of PDF to the model at once? So why is that? I've answered that question also today. So why is that? As we are thinking about that, let me answer other people's question. We got an error. We actually got this error too today. Novita. We had this error today in Novita. So two things. Make sure you in your secret, right? Three things actually. Make sure you named it HF token because HF token is what is being used in the notebook. If you named your secret something else, please change your notebook to what you have, right, when you created the secret. The second one is make sure your notebook has access, right, to that secret. After that, after making sure your notebook has access, right, to that secret, just rerun everything again. You could delete the current session one time and then rerun everything again. Same goes to you, Oyekule Taiwo, though you didn't tell us the exact type of error that you were having. Excellent, Francis, because these models, right, Genevieve says that models can go through the document and give without confusing it. Well, that's it, because that can also be it, because if you dump like a lot of text on the model, right, it's too much for it, and if you've exceeded the number of tokens that the model can read, right, at once, right? Excellent, Francis, great one. Genevieve, yes, there's a limit, right? The token generated can't work with large number of text. What do you mean by the token generated, Olayinka? The token generated, I think you meant to say the model's maximum token, yes, cannot work maybe with a very large number of text, if that's what you meant to say. So Clement is saying yes. Not just this model, all models, right? All models, they have different limitations, right? They have, sorry, different number of tokens, right? Maximum number of tokens, right? That they can read at once, right? So to reduce hallucination, I won't say to reduce hallucination, to avoid error prone results, or to avoid even having errors, because if you are putting too large PDF file, it's going to generate lots of tokens, right? And then it's going to break your mini app, and then you are going to have errors, right? Yes, yes, yes. Then now, which is going to, and that is what is going to bring us to learn about retrieval-augmented generation. So I'm going to share my screen now. I'm going to share my slides. Yes. So I'm sure we all can see my slides now. Yes, excellent. So I'm sure we all can see my slides now. Great question. How do you know the limit for each model? You could just check on Hugging Face, right? It's usually there, right? It's usually in the model card. They'll tell you the number of tokens, right, that the model can take, right? So it's usually on the in the model card. No, we've not even started anything about retrieval. Today, we've not started anything about retrieval yet. Excellent. Abia Anthony. Excellent. Francis, you looked that up already. Great. Can you have access to this slide? I have the understanding that we all should have access to this slide by now. But if you do not have access to the slide by now, right, you do not have to worry. Just listen, right? Listen in the class, then I'm sure you are going to have access to the class later. So just make sure to listen, right? And then you have access to the slides later. All right, so moving on, we all know what a large language model is. We know that a large language model has been trained on vast, vast amount of data, right? That is when we ask it question, right, it's able to understand our questions and give us a very coherent response. But then there are issues with these models, right? There are issues, some of issues, right, that we have in this model. The first one that we all saw together in this class, right, is that these models, they can hallucinate, right? They can hallucinate. Can we remember the first time we built like a chat interface, right? The first time we built like a chat interface in yeah, it's in this class. And then I was asking a model, I think it was Llama, that, oh, I'm testing you out. And then it was like, oh, I'm very happy to have passed the test, without even telling it that it has passed. It just hallucinated that, oh, that's passed the test, right? And then when we were also running our prompt engineering notebook, is an example, right, that we saw there was where we asked the model to like write about, I think, something that does not exist, right? And it went on to just hallucinate, to think, thought that it existed, and then wrote about it, right? Another thing, another limitation of this large language model can is that somebody yesterday, when we were talking about the different ways that our mini ask your questions app, right? We're talking about the different ways rather the Ask Your Questions app, right? The different ways can be useful for us in our own career paths, right? Somebody said it can be used to answer our customers' questions and all. But then I had to say yesterday that if you are asking, if you just give your model, right, a prompt just like we did, and then you expect that model when you build a mini application, right, to be able to answer customers special questions regarding your product, that model is going to fail because the model does not have information, right? It has not been trained with information, right, about your product, right? So that is another limitation of large language models, right? They do not have what domain knowledge, right, about some very very specific things, right? They don't have domain knowledge, right? Another limitation, right, is that these models are not updated to the latest information, right? That is another limitation. So how do we now solve this limitation? Some of this limitation can be solved through retrieval augmented generation. And what is retrieval augmented generation? Retrieval augmented generation combines the ability of it gives the large language model, right, ability to have access to external knowledge, right, that it has not been trained with, right. We know large language models have been trained with vast amount of data, right. But then when you're asking them questions about things that they did not see, they did not encounter, right, during their training process, right, this is when retrieval augmented generation can come in to help them. So it's going to allow these models have access to an external database, right. When you ask them questions about something, right, they can check this database, right. You are the one providing that external knowledge base, right, to them, to the LLM, large language models. So they will check that external knowledge base, right. It will be used to augment the model's knowledge, and then it will give you a very good grounded response. So there are two phases to this. When you hear retrieval augmented generation, the retrieval part is the first one, where based on a user's question, the model retrieves the most important information, right, from the knowledge base. And then the augmented generation, so based on the information that has been retrieved from that knowledge base, it is going to use it to what, augment that model's knowledge, such that when it is producing a response, right, it is going to give you a very very good and well grounded response. Before we move on, let me see if you have questions. Yes, we don't have questions yet. Now, based on this explanation that I've made, right? Based on this explanation that I've made for retrieval augmented generation, can you remember, can you recall any tool where you uploaded a document? Can you remember any tool where you uploaded a document and then you were asking questions, right, about that document? Not this one, no, that not this mini app that we created, right. Apart from this mini app, any tool that you uploaded a document and then you were asking questions, right, about that document, and then the model was able to give you very good well grounded responses, right, on that document. So can we remember any tool like that, any application like that that you have interacted with? ChatGPT, excellent, Vincent, because I personally know that ChatGPT has a functionality where you can upload your document, like very big document, and when you ask questions, it's going to give you response. Yes, so that is a classic of example of retrieval augmented generation at play, right? Because You can even upload a personal. Yes, Gemini also has that functionality. You are right, Felicia. Gemini also has that functionality. You can upload a document, even a very personal document. Claude also has it. Yes, you can upload a very personal document. Perplexity, excellent. You can upload a very personal document that the model does not even know about before, right? And then it's going to give you well-grounded responses. Yes, Perplexity. Apart from these models, popular ones, DeepSeek, yes. Apart from these ones, which other one? Exactly. Thank you, Indianaton. Notebook LM. And you thought that is what is going to be our first response. Yes, Notebook LM. Excellent. You can ask chat PDF. Yes, Clement. Excellent. All right. So great one that we all can easily remember, right? These applications. Do you know that for ChatGPT, right? Apart from the not just ChatGPT, right? Most of our models, right? Today have it in their UI, right? You can also turn on web search, right? Exactly, Adura baby, because I am a researcher, right? And it's very, very helpful. Yes, Gamma. Excellent, Constance. Okay, so I was trying to say that for ChatGPT rather, apart from the ability to upload, right, your file and then ask question about your custom file, whenever you are asking question, let's say you read a research paper and then you do not want to go through the stress of downloading it and then going to upload it again on ChatGPT. The easiest thing you can just do is put in the link, right? Put in the link. Lovable, excellent. Owolabi, Lovable. Lovable, sorry for diverting a bit. Lovable can help you to create websites, right? About anything you want in minutes. You just have to give it a prompt. So I think most of us are not really conversant with Lovable in this. Not most, right? Some of us might not be conversant with Lovable. So it's a tool that Cursor, for those that really do a lot of programming. Yes. So if you have not used Lovable before, if you are not really conversant, right, with Lovable, right, you can just Google it and see how to use it. Like it's very, very, very easy to use. The max, excellent. Yes, it's great. It's great to see that most of us have also seen how to use. Please try it, oh, Olufunke. You are going to love it. Oh, there's also Canva AI. I have not used it because I don't really do a lot of work with design, but excellent to see that the product bill. Okay, so as I was trying to explain, right? So let's say you have a research paper. Yes, Meta AI on. Does Meta AI have a retrieval-augmented generation capacity? Well, I can just quickly check that on my phone because we all know Meta AI is linked to WhatsApp. No, I don't think. Mm, okay, yes, it's able to search. Okay, excellent. Excellent, Olayinka. So I was trying to talk about GPT, right? And then its web search functionality. So the web search functionality on GPT-2, right, can help you to have access to more recent information, most recent information, in fact. And then with that, right, you can help you to overcome one of the limitations of large language models ordinarily, which is they don't have access, right, to updated information. Okay, so why is retrieval augmented generation? Why is it important? So I will leave us to answer that question, right? On why we think retrieval augmented generation is important? So let me see our responses in the chat. Why do you think, based on these problems that we've spoken about, why do you think retrieval augmented generation is important? So why do you think retrieval augmented generation is important? Miguel J is saying, can I create and train a model by yourself? It depends on the model you are saying, Miguel J. Are you talking about traditional machine learning models like CATBOOs, XGBoost? Or you are talking about fine-tuning a large language model like say BERT? You know that we have, for those that have read the listen to the attention is all you need paper, you know that all these models, they were gotten from a transformer network, and it consists of the encoder part and then decoder part. So we have encoder models and decoder models. So it depends on the type of what of model, right, that you are talking about. So why do we think RAG is important? That is the question that we have to answer. Why is it important based on these different problems that we have listed? Why is RAG important? RAG keeps AI answers fresh. By fresh, you mean current, right? RAG keeps AI answers current, and then we have, it will be context aware. Yes, context aware responses, and then reduces hallucinations. Excellent, Miguel J. It will help us to get a robust information when we query, to get us to get an information that is well grounded, right? We want to say in our context, right, or in our domain, address to address hallucination. It helps to reduce, it said sometimes it will not totally eliminate it, but it can reduce hallucination. They are saying RAG helps to remove irrelevant, Abubakar. RAG will not remove irrelevant, I was trying to say something. Yes, Abubakar, RAG will not remove irrelevant information, right? No, no, it doesn't remove it right on its own. Like, it is based on the question. All the information that you have in your knowledge base, right, they are relevant. That's why you have them in the knowledge base. But then based on the question that the I think this is what you meant to say. So based on the question that the user poses, the retriever, right, is going to search for the most relevant document, right, to the user's query, right? So at that point, based on the user's query, right, it is going to find the most relevant, not that other things in the documents are not relevant, but at that point, based on the user query, the most relevant document the users is what is going to find for you, find and then pass to the model, instead of we dumping the whole huge document, right, on the model. So I hope you get that now, Abubakar. Give visuals and say mitigates hallucination. Yes, improves factual accuracy. I like that. Blessing is saying because it helps you keep track of any project you are working on. Keep track. No, I wouldn't say that. Vincent is saying train our model to be knowledgeable. When you are using RAG, you are not training the model. So you are not training the model. These models, they are called large language models for a reason, right? Even most people, right, they just fine tune, right, large language models. So instead of fine tuning, right, an easier way to do this is RAG, right? So it takes a lot, right, to sometimes fine tune some of these models. But with RAG, you can easily just like um add whatever information you want to add as an external knowledge base that the model can have access to. So this says we are not training at all. We are just augmenting, would be the better word to use, augmenting the model's knowledge, right? Bridges the gap between knowledge and generation. to get a detailed report or response, updated information, yes. Oh, excellent to hear that you are learning. Philip is saying for quick reference on a subject matter. For quick reference. For quick reference on the subject matter, well, if you turn on your web search on GPT, that could, yes, that could work. For accurate, up-to-date responses, excellent, Clement. Yes, excellent, Miguel. So use your own personal data, your own special data, right, to give you better, well-grounded answer. It won't just give you generic response. Olabi to get updated information. Winifred increases efficiency. No, I will not say that. Ezekiel is saying it helps to get up to date. Yes, keyword up to date responses. Francis is saying reduce hallucination, well-grounded response. Yes. Yeah, Henry, we would see that even though we've not seen that yet, but great to see that you were able to see that. Even though if I ask you how were you able to see that, I don't want to ask yet. But yes, it would help us to um not just dump lots of documents, right, on our model at once. I think you would be able to see that because I've explained it, because it is going to search for the most relevant document, right, in the knowledge base. It is going to search for the most relevant document, right, in your knowledge base. How will it know what's relevant? Excellent question. It's going to know what's relevant based on whatever question, right, that me, the user, is asking. But then how will it now be able to use that context to look for the most relevant document? Is something I expect us to be able to answer in this class. You even know the response, but I'm sure you would not know that that's the response. It is when I now show you that that's the response, you're not going to say, wow, I know this now, I know this now. So everything builds upon each other in this class. So excellent question, Christian. Excellent question. We're going to see that even though you already know the response, right? But you do not just know that you know. You don't know that you know that that's the response. All right. Ellen is saying to get tailored response. Yes, excellent. Melibekwe, RAG helps to give the model access to a reservoir. I like that word of knowledge. No, no, the last part of the sentence, we are not training anything when we come to RAG. We are not training anything, right? It just gives the model that access, right, to augment the model's knowledge, right, on a knowledge base. Up-to-date and real-time information enhances the capabilities of the large language model here to do better. Olayinka. And then Okafor is saying helps the model to give correct information, yes, and reduce hallucination. Is agentic AI the same with RAG? No. But then, right, I don't want to go too far because of the it is not part of what we want to do in this class. But to answer your question, right, agentic AI, right, is not just the ability. You know that models that we are learning right now, please do not be confused if you've not heard of agents before, right? So what we are just learning now is about large language models. I know that when we ask them question, we prompt them down, they'll give us response. Now, when you're not talking about agents, it's not just about the ability to prompt the models and then they are giving you response. We are now talking about the ability of the models to to reason and also act, right? And also act on something. So we are giving them that autonomous, that freedom to be able to act on something. So in that kind of instance, when they are acting, right, RAG can also be something that they act on. So you can read more on that, Olayinka Otun. So RAG, right, agentic AI can use RAG, right, more as a tool, right, that it's act on. But know the key difference. Agentic, because it's not just the model is not just reasoning, right? It also has the ability to act. That's the most important thing. To reason, act, and then observe. That is when we call something an agent. But that is not part of the scope for our class. Okay, so moving on to synonyms of the words use the question. Abubakar, no, it's not called synonyms. We are all trying. There's something we learned. Let me help you. There's something we learned at the beginning of this class, but don't worry, we'll get there. You don't have to worry. Even I can even see it on my slide self. Let me zoom in. Control Shift. Let me zoom in to see if you'll be able to see what I can see on my slide. There's something on my slides that we have discussed about that brings about the numerical something, and then we know that something of the something, they stay in the same. I don't want to talk about it yet. Okay, so Miguel is saying by using semantic search, it compares the meanings, not just word. Excellent. But Miguel, what now powers this semantic search? We've discussed that also in this class. It helps us key in it helps us to update have updated information. Excellent, Matthew. Telling the model what it doesn't know. Great. Oh, we already have a lot of responses here. Wow, great one. Sarah clapping for us. Embedding. Excellent. So we can see that we know it. Wow. We are all a step ahead. Wow. I'm really clapping for us all in this class. Embedding, yes, embedding is what is what helps um the our semantic search, right? Embedding, because the embedding of the question, you that you're asking the question, right, will be in the same would have a similar meaning to a particular part of the document, right? So using those embeddings, when they match, right, it will be able to know that, okay, I think based on this match, right, and we'll learn about what does it use to match them, right? Based on this, like this is the most relevant document to um what is being asked by the user. Excellent, Segun Bello. Yes, it's also useful for domain-specific tasks. Great one. Oh, we all got it. Embedding, 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 embedding. Yeah. Yes, they all know what an embedding is. We have smart, very smart people in this class. Okay, so what is an embedding? To you, what is an I think somebody already said it. Great one, Ezekiel, Chukwudi Ezekiel. Excellent, excellent. So what is an embedding? When someone meets you and say, okay, what is an embedding? How would you explain an embedding to anybody that asks you what an embedding is? We don't have any response yet. Okay, it was my network. Turning words into vectors, right? Yeah, so the computers can understand their meaning. Turning words, sentences, yes, all those will depend on the way the um document was tokenized, right? If it's going to be a word, subword, or even a sentence, right, into vectors, right, that represent their meaning. Excellent, excellent, bravo. So before we even move on, let me show you this simple app. We have all been learning that, oh, we know that almost they'll be in the same space, this and that. But then how can you there's an app, right, that we can even use to visualize this, so this would cement more, right, in your knowledge. So you can go to this link. Let me share this tab instead. So go to projector.tensorflow.org, projector.tensorflow.org, right? So let me copy it for you. Projector.tensorflow.org. Excellent, excellent. Celestina, Dorcas, Abubakar, Clement, Olajumoke, Atom, Okafor, Olajide Jimoh, Francis, Odutola. Excellent. Great to see that we are all following. Yes, Ayodele, Winifred, Lady J. Yeah, excellent, excellent. We are all following. So I now want us to see just a very so I want us to see just a very mini app, right, that will show us um a very fun way, right, to visualize embedding. So go to projector.tensorflow.org. That's for RAG, right? Additional. Well done. I can see Adebowale also. Can see the dollars, $TO. Wow, excellent. So go to projector.tensorflow.org. So I'll call the link again, projector.tensorflow.org, projector.tensorflow.org, right? So if you have been able to load that link, let me know. Projector.tensorflow.org. Projector.tensorflow.org. Just type that in your browser. Just type projector, PROJECTOR, then dot tensorflow, TENSORFLOW, then dot org. Oh, so it's just for us to see how words, right, how they can be in the same shared space when they are similar, right, and how words that do not have the same meaning, right, you would see them very far from words that have the same it would allow us see how far they would be from words that have the same meaning. So projector.tensorflow.org. Okay, yes, excellent, excellent. Projector.tensorflow.org. Loading already. All right, excellent. Olufunke. Okay, so I expect that most of us are already there. So we are just here to have fun, right, with different words, right? And then we'll see how words that have the same meaning, right, they would be in the same space, and ones that are so different, right, would be in a different space. So can somebody help us with a word? Just let's see a word, right, that you want us to try. So just give me a word in the chat box that you want me to try. So any word you like. Oh my God, I don't think we are going to get anything close to that, but I'm going to use the first three here. So I'm going to use Tinubu. I want to see what we are going to get. I'm going to use attention, and then I'm going to use the third time. I'm going to use hydrophobia from Vincent. So we have our three words, first three words we are going to try. Then once we are done trying our first three words, we'll try the next three words, right? Let's first try Tinubu. So all you just have to do is type it here, right? Exactly. We have zero matches. zero matches to that here. Please, we do not have matches to that name here. So the next one I think is attention. Yes, let me check. The next one is hydrophobia. Attention. So let's type. So you can see that there's a search bar right at the right hand side of my screen, right? And then you can search by words or maybe count, right? But I'm searching by words. So and I want to search for attention. Attention, right? Attention, right? So it was able to help me see a lot of words, right, that are similar to attention. You can see nearest points here. We have interest, criticism, focus, attention, focus, audience, and then we also have deal. You agree with me that focus is very similar, right, to attention. So sorry, let me do that again. So this is just a fun exercise. So you see that the words that are very close to this attention, right? Attention, interest, the ones that are very close, right, to attention are very like in a way still similar to it. But if you now go up here, you will see that words like you might not see acid on your own, but you see other words. You can see that they are not even shown right on this space. So you can see that they are not even showing them at all. You can see symmetric, stack, they are not even close at all, right? They are far away, right, on this space, right? But you can see attention, interest, effort, you can see audience, you can see those words, they are closer, right, to attention. That is because the embedding, right, is what similar. That's why they come up. And you might wonder, what is this cosine here? What is this Euclidean distance? We call it um cosine similarity, right? For cosine, right, the higher the value is, right, you have the higher it is, like the closer it is to one, right, the more, the greater the match. So let me just say it like that. So for this cosine distance that you can see here, so the higher the value is, right, the better the match between the words. But for Euclidean, right, so you can just think of um your cosine as maybe like is that demand or supply? The higher the better, right? For cosine, the higher the better. So I think that's supply now, right? So for cosine, the higher the better. But for Euclidean, you can think of Euclidean like your demand, like the lower the better. For Euclidean distance, right? The lower the better. So the closer it is to um zero, the better. But for cosine, the closer it is to one, right, the better. So let's also try the third word for now, which is hydrophobia. So let me search. There are no words for hydrophobia on this space. Hydrophobia. There are no words for it. Wow. What if I do ordinary phobia? Even phobia is saying no match, right? So I'm sure we have a predefined, it's just like a game, right? We have predefined embeddings, right? Word embeddings that we have here. Why me use this word to work all to see if I'll be able to see hydrophobia from there. So I'm testing my last word now, which is hydrophobia. Won't be using Tinubu again. Tinubu is not there. Then the next three words I'll be trying is ruler, innovative, and then food. Oh, no, 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 no. I said for cosine, the closer it is to 1, right, the better. So for cosine, Genevieve. For cosine, the closer it is to 1, the better. Then for Euclidean, the closer it is to 0, right, the better. Please, let's stop calling our politicians names, right? Except you want to build your own, then build your own embedding, right, for these names. So let me see if I'm going to see phobia. Yes. So I can see phobia now. So you can see words that are close to phobia coming up. Mm-hmm. And then let me now try the hydrophobia. So if you are confused, like this is just more like again to see how words that are related, right, are going to match, right? Uh-huh. Yeah. So you can see this for hydrophobia, we have hydrophobic there instead, hydrophobic, right? So you can see words that are similar, most similar to it. You can see that they are in the same space. That is our most important lesson for this game, simple words game. So you can see words that are similar to, they are on the same space. But words that are far, right, this, you can see that they do not appear, right, on the space, right, similar to this hydrophobia here. So if you are confused on what is even going on right now, what is this, what are we doing? So we are just trying to show you, I'm just trying to visualize, right, these embeddings for you to show you that okay, the parts that we've been saying that similar words, or they'll be in the same space, clustering on the same space. The similar words, they won't be in the same space because they will have, right, they won't have similar, right, embeddings, right. You can see from this our from this website, right, you can see how different words that have the same meanings, right, you can see hydrophobia, words that are similar to it, right, you would see that they would be in similar space, right, to that word that you are searching for. Somebody said unfortunate. Oh my god. So what are my next three words, please? Ruler, innovative, and food. Ruler. So let me check for ruler. You can also be trying these words out on your own, and then in your free time, you can check out what each of these UMAP, CSNE, PCA, you can also check out what they mean. Just play with it, right? It's a very fun way to understand more about how embeddings work. So you can do ruler. I'm picking ruler. So for ruler, you can see words that are close to it, right? You can see dynasty, you can see reign, you can see king, you can see nobles, you can see those words, right? So words that are similar to it, right? You can see duke, you can see father. Can you see why? One thing that I want you to note here is that, can you see that this thing is a little bit biased? When we say ruler, it is showing us words like king, son, father. It is not showing anything related to feminine, right? So these are things that we are going to see. Very funny things. These are ways your model gets biased though. And these simple things, right? You can see when we say ruler, you can see king, you can see son, we are seeing father. We are not seeing anything about the female gender. Okay, yes, we can definitely now see wife. All right. So let's search for maid. Search for maid. For maid, we can see woman, you can see girl. Exactly. You can see sister, you can see her. All right. So I'm coming back to what you want me to search for, but I want you to just see a pattern, right? Let me search for, you can see love. You can see girl. Let me search for engineer. Engineer. Okay. So let's see the words that it's going to bring out for engineer. You can try this out on your end also, in case you are not seeing my screen, right? For engineer, we can see chief, pilot, physicist, mathematician, leader, master, mus- we can see Frank. Frank is what? A male name, right? What else can we see? So it's coming one after the other. So let me come back to the words that you want me to try, but I just want you to notice these little things, right? Notice these little things. These are the little things that brings about bias, right, in these models, right? Let's say it is so biased. Your own is showing only two matches for rulers. Okay, I'll do it again, right? Oh, sorry, Olajumoke. You can reduce it if the points are too much for you, right? If the points are too much for you, you can just, instead of doing what to work all, right, at the left-hand side of your screen, you can just use the 10K, the little 10K on, right? The little 10K on. So it is not just like the embedding model, right? It is these little things, from this it is the embeddings that the model is going to use, right? So it is these little things that introduces bias, right, to our model, and then we are going to see that also as we move forward in this class. So let me do the next three that I promised. uh Yes, I've done ruler. I want to do innovative, food, relationship, and unfortunate. Innovative. Let's do innovative. So when you search for a word like this, even though it shows you two matches, so for the person that was asking, so just pick one that matches whatever you are trying to say, then click on it, right? Then it will now be able to search for words that are similar to it. So for innovative, right, you can see successful, effective, talent, innovations, efficient, words like that are very, very similar, right, to innovative. And then somebody said relationship, right? So you click on it. When it shows the number of matches, just click on the word that is most conversant to you. So click on it. And then for relationship, we can see friendship, we can see correspondence, we can see collaboration, interaction, yes, things like that are very, very similar. Work, right? You can have a work relationship. Ties, right? Words that are similar in that way, right? Marriage, right? You can see that those are the words that it is showing us. And then somebody said, I think unfortunate. So when you search for it, you just click on the word. So unlucky, disastrous, very close to it. Consequences. So the last one I'll be trying from us, I think I saw incubator. So you click on that word, right, after searching, right? So for incubator, it's looking for words that are very, very close to incubator. It's showing me biology, cytology, cell. You can see words that are clustered around incubator. Okay, so let's do doctor. Me, I'm interested in who is this embedding model is going to see as a doctor. You can see doctor, we have boy, uncle, Harry, Frank. Who else do we have? We have father. Hmm. Okay. So I think we are even for our bias, because we are going to be learning about how models can be biased, right? It would be nice to do it from within embeddings, right? So you go to the roots of the problem. Can see Frank, fellow. You can see man. I'm sure you can see man. Can see bachelor. That is for doctor. Let me now do nurse. Let me click on nurse. All right. You can see midwife. You can see mother. You can see wife. What else can we see? You can see hospital. Yes, mother is there. Help. um Friend, midwife, words that are close to a nurse. And young, meaning most nurses, well, they are always young. Well, we've seen how it's just a game, right? To see how these models, words that it thinks about, right? When you are mentioned some words, right? Yeah, it depends, right? You are saying I should do car or vehicle. Okay, oh, let me do car for the last time. Let me do car. Car. Let me click on it. Car. I can see truck, automobile, railway, aircraft, taxi, man, soldiers. Okay, oh, pilot, bus. All right, it's exciting. Well, if yours is just it doesn't actually really matter whenever you search, right? Any number of words that is able to get that relates to it, just click on it. And another thing is look at the left hand side of your screen. You know that at some point I was searching, right? And then I could not see, I think it was hydrophobia, right? I changed it from this 10K words to all what to vec, right? All words. So you might want to also make that change. And this one also tells us that it's not only words, right, that have embeddings, images too, they have embeddings. But we'll not be seeing that today, but we'll be seeing that as we move on in this class. No, 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 it's not like that, right? You'll be seeing that. That's what I'm saying. It's a lot. We have a lot in coming for you, right? It's not the fact that, oh, it's an alpha male that builds the model. No, it is what the so when they say want to see what to come out using Jesus for Christ. So it is what the society thinks, right? That somehow has been incorporated in some of these models, right? That we are seeing, right, in today's world, right? What the society thinks, right? The society thinks when you say nurse, right? The first thing that comes to your mind, first gender that comes to your mind is what? Female. When you say doctor, the first gender that comes to your mind is what? Male, right? And at some point, inadvertently, all these models, they are trained with lots and lots of data all over the internet, right? And some of these things, right, has been what? Embedded in them unknowingly, right? So that is why you are seeing it when you are saying, oh, doctor is telling you man, then you are saying nurse telling you female, right? So some models, right, some model creators like say OpenAI, Anthropic. When you're talking about Anthropic, you're talking about Claude, right? Some of these model creators they are taking steps to take away um these biases, right, from these models, but then they are still there, right? They are still there. So for the last word I want to try, because of all of us curiosity, let's try our Lord Jesus Christ. Okay, so let me do Jesus and let me see the what it will be. It's telling us Mary, Matthew, yes, Nazareth, atonement for our sins. Believe, you can see Christian, right? So you can see the gospel. So it's brought out, I think, very good similarities to the name Jesus, our Savior and King. All right. So I hope we have all been able to learn like a lot today to see how important, right, these embeddings are, right, and how just putting a word, right, just putting in a word can show similar words, right, that they share the same embedding space, right. So our assignment, right, of course I'm going to give you an assignment. When we come next week, we are going to continue with this folder that we are let me stop sharing my screen. Okay, so when we come next week, we are going to continue with learning retrieval augmented generation and understanding the different concepts, right, different parts, right, of retrieval augmented generation. We'll be learning that when we come in our next class. But I think with what we've been able to do today, most of us already have like a very high level overview, right, of what it does. So my assignment is still to listen to that. Attention is all you need paper for those that have not listened to it. Another assignment would also be this our ask your documents I will ask your documents. I'm no longer sharing my screen just in case you are bothered. Right. Yeah, great. Thank you too. Okay, so this our asks your documents mini app that we created. You can scale it up, right? And then add maybe memory to it, add do it in like a chat interface, right? That's if you're interested in going through that stress, right? So you can do that, right, as your assignment, but I won't be giving a review of it when we come next week. Because when we come next week, right, we'll be going in straight into finishing our PDF and then doing some RAG implementation. So we'll just be doing different RAG implementations when we come next week. That is the fourth week of this class, and that is going to be the end of what we are doing with text generation, right? The new week we'll be entering after next week, we'll be working on images, right? And I'm sure most people are excited for that. All right, so I think it has been no, you cannot see my face for today. Oh. So I hope it has been an insightful class and then you've been able to learn a lot, right? You see how words, right, can bring out meaning, even some meanings that you do not even think it would give you, right? So excellent. And we have come to the end of today's class. So we'll all be seeing you next week. And then see you, enjoy, and then don't forget to go through what you've been taught. Thank you and bye.